I used to finish my crochet projects and always feel like something was missing, and then I realized I never added pockets. Today I'm going to show you exactly how to do it, and trust me, once you learn this, you'll want to add them to every single piece you make. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, my name is ByKaterina and I design and share all things crochet and knitting. In today's video I want to show you how I add pockets to my crochet pieces, and I'm using the pants project that I'm working on right now, but of course that you can use these tips for other projects like cardigans, skirts, or really anything. So if you ever made something and thought, oh, I wish this would have pockets, then maybe this video is for you. So let's get started. So I think pockets are really functional, but also they can add a cute design element to a crochet project. And there are a few things that are really important before trying to make pockets. So this technique that I'm showing it to you right now is working a separate pocket and then place it or sew it to your crochet project. I also had in other tutorials like hidden pockets for cardigans, and you can watch those tutorials if you're interested in more how to add hidden pockets. But this time I will show you how to place them, attach them, add them after you finish your project. So the first tip that I want to share with you is the placement of the pockets. I think it's really important for the pockets to be on the right place and not to look awkward on your when you're wearing the project. And this also is important, the placement, but also the size of the pocket, because of course it needs to be functional, so your hand needs to fit into the pocket, but also I think it's important the proportion in between the project where you want to place the pocket, because if you're making the same size pockets for a smaller size and for bigger size as well, I think on a bigger size will look a little bit awkward, and it's better to have a balance between the width of the project, the pants, the skirt, or the cardigan, and the size of the pocket. So now I will share my first tip with you, because I was never like sure where should I place the pockets. They should be, I don't know, right on the sides of the pants if they are vertical, or where should I put them? So for that I'm using a strand of yarn and trying to draw the outline of the pockets exactly how I will like to look. So just placing the yarn in the shape of the pocket that I want, and then I'm playing with the yarn until I get the size that I want, the placement that I want, and so on. And this helps me also to be able to know with how many stitches should I start my project, because placing the strand of yarn on the top of your project gives you the exact number of stitches, especially if you're using for the pockets the same stitch pattern as the project. It's easy to just count the stitches in between your outline, your yarn outline, and to start from there. And also you will have the number of rows that you will need to work, and if you have some decreases that you want to make, it will be easier to just build those decreases or increases depending if you're starting top down or bottom up. And yeah, I find it really useful, because I was always concerned of, okay, where should I, how big should I make the pocket? Should it be like my hand, and sometimes if I measure my hand and then make the pocket, I realize that it's too small. So this is the tip number one, to help you with the placement of the pocket, and also with the size of the pocket. If it looks natural for you with those outlines, then you can start. I think it will look even better when you're finishing with the pockets and sew them on the project. Now that we know everything about the size of the pockets and everything, we know with how many stitches we need to start, how many rows we need to work, then we will separately work the pocket with the intended pattern that we thought about. And of course, while you're working on your pocket, you can try and put it on the project and see if you are on the right track. The strand of yarn will be difficult to hold in place if you want to check it later while you're working on the pattern. So you can use some other stuff to keep it in place. Now, after working the pocket, I think the sewing when attaching to the project is really important, because we want a seamless seaming that is not that visible, unless you want to have like different edges of the pocket. And before sewing, it's important to decide if you want some finishing on the pockets. For example, the opening of the pockets to have a nice edging, neat edging that you want to add. You need to think about those things before sewing, because afterwards it will be a little bit difficult. Not impossible, but more difficult. Now we have the pocket, we have the finishing and everything. It looks perfect. We need to sew it on the pants. So for this, I have another tip. Again, I'm placing the separated pocket that I crocheted. I'm placing it on the project, and again trying to decide the placement of the pocket. Maybe it will be something different than with the strand of yarn. Now is the final thing that you need to think about. And then using a needle with a contrasting yarn, I'm actually making the contouring of the pocket. I found this really useful, because having that outline, and you can do it even before when trying the shape and the placement with the strand of yarn, you can use it and actually go with the needle through the stitches. In this way, it's easier to keep a straight line as outline, because you know you're getting with the needle from stitch to stitch or from row to row. And then when you're sewing the pocket, it's easier, and you're making sure that you're not inserting the needle in, I don't know, a stitch to the right, more to the right or more to the left. And in this way, you won't have a straight seaming. And I find it really easy. And then you can use safety pins to just keep the pocket in place. And I find that the seaming process, the sewing process, it's much more easier, because I had a few times when it was difficult for me to keep when sewing when sewing to keep a straight line, and in this way it looked a little bit awkward. And to make sure that both pockets are placed mirroring each other, because this is what you'll need, I'm simply counting the stitches from the middle seam if you have one. If not, you're counting the entire stitches and make sure that they are placed in the mirror, so you will have like the same distance from the middle seam to the right pocket and from the middle seam to the left pocket, and try to make sure that you will have those pockets crocheted in the same pattern with the same number of rows and same number of stitches. And then it comes with the sewing. For sewing method, I'm using the ladder stitch all the time, even when I want to join pieces together. I find this sewing method really nice, really holding in time, meaning that it's not easy to undo it, and also it's not visible. And you can use any other color yarn because you are using basically the edges of your project, and when you are sewing, the yarn which you used to sew is like getting inside, so you cannot see it. And of course, with patience and a lot of patience, you need to go stitch by stitch and row by row and sew the pocket with your project. And then you have it. You have a project with pockets. And that was it. Easy, right? Let me know in the comments if you've added pockets to your project before, or if you'd like to try it right now. I will be happy to hear what you're working on. And don't forget to give a like, subscribe, and hit the bell button to be notified when I'm posting another video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I wish you to have a great week ahead, and see you next time. Bye!